I've been getting a lot of comments, fan mail, and hate mail along the lines of, come back to YouTube. Where have you been? Where have I been, you ask? I've been house hunting. Specifically, I need a permanent residence near LA County. So like any reasonable person, I sought counsel from people on the internet I've never met in real life. They recommended I give Lancaster a shot, owing to its low cost of living relative to the rest of California, which is still absurd for the US. And when they further advised that an apartment complex called Casa de Lancaster is perfect for a ballin' YouTube streamer like myself, I called the management office and scheduled a tour. So, driving through this eastern side of Lancaster, one thing sticks out to me about the neighborhood right away. It's a shithole. It takes me back to my childhood in Bushwick, and not simply because of demographics. In my drive, I saw no fewer than 5 people drugged out of their minds in the middle of the day. I saw one fight between 2 kids who looked no older than 13 while a group of adults watched. And I saw dozens of ruined cars and damaged homes. But I was a little early for the tour, so I decided to get a snack. Have you ever noticed that if someone has a story to tell about Lancaster, it always takes place in Wal-Mart? It's like the town mecca, and I had to see it myself. But even I wasn't anticipating the store being so intrinsic to Lancaster's culture that the street would be named Wal-Mart Road. So I park, exit my car, and it hits me. It's something I unfortunately can't capture in video or audio for you. The stench. East Lancaster has a smell. The best way to describe it is that there's an inescapable effluvium of body odor, even when no one else is around. I've been all around the world and never encountered another city with a pervading smell like this, and the smell itself is something I only recognize from homeless persons in New York. I hoped it would be better when I got into the store, but it was even worse inside the Walmart itself. I wonder what psychological effect fresh air would have upon someone who left this city for the first time after 39 years today. Anyway, the Walmart itself must see a lot of crime because most non-edible products are locked up, from the shoes to the electronics to the $1 screwdrivers. I got a Cliff Bar and a Gatorade Zero, and I have to say the only thing more disorienting than the dystopian California bag tax was that for whatever reason, the Gatorade Zero's taste was really off. The formula is far more sour than anywhere else in America. There's definitely something wrong with this city. At least the bag I was forced to buy is sturdy. I still have it. I start on over to Casa de Lancaster for my tour, but I immediately stop when I see there's a loose dog walking along 20th East Street. He was a friendly German Shepherd mix, smart enough to walk on the sidewalk, almost humanly smart, and he was happily marking everything. I corralled him to this bank's railing and coaxed him into my car with a Cliff Bar offering. He had a collar on showing his name was Flex, but the phone number on it didn't work. I called the local animal rescue, they picked him up, and he was reunited with his owners the next day. Sorry I don't have video of this. I was too focused on helping Flex out, but this encounter definitely made the trip worth it. So I finally get to Casa de Lancaster for my tour. A few things stand out before I even get to the manager's office. One, the house directly across the street is another badly damaged one, complete with a busted garage door. That's great for property value. 2, the house next door is a spacious lot with gates on both sides, but it's a really odd property. The one-story layout is suboptimal at best, and the window AC shows it lacks central conditioning. It's a shame to see a nice lot like this somewhat wasted like that, but speaking of it, people love satellite TV here. I thought TV was dead. I can't recall seeing this many dishes anywhere else. It's particularly unusual in apartments where tenants own neither inside nor outside to install one, so this option is a privilege reserved only for the ones that have balconies. I get into the manager's office. He's a nice enough fellow and permits me to film any of the area I wish to for a video, but also requests I don't record him. Fair enough. He informs me that there are 60 apartments, rent-controlled, low-income housing. You can't live here if your household makes over a certain amount of money. As of the time of our conversation, that was $50K USD per year for a single bloke and around $80K for one with dependents. This is verified by reported income on tax forms. A wildly successful streamer like myself should be precluded unless I'm willing to lie to the IRS, which is always a great idea. He also told me the units were built in 1984. Great year. There's a 2-pet limit, 20-pound limit for dogs, and the pet deposit is $200 each. The units rent for $950 a month to upwards of $1,400 a month, cheap for the area, and additional tenants are supposed to be added to lease agreements, but most people don't bother and keep their heads down. I'm interested in renting a 2-story 2-bedroom here, which goes for $1,050 a month unless its furnishments have been updated in the last 10 years. From there, the manager permitted me to film as much as I wanted of the complex for as long as I needed and then let me tour an empty unit. I first checked out the laundry room because I know current residents aren't happy with it, but I think it's fine for the target demographic. It's only when you're a balling full-time YouTube streamer who's got the bag, again, myself, that you get to the level where you might want better machines you don't have to pay in quarters for, especially with Biden inflation. I spoke to a female resident who told me women's panties sometimes go missing and that she reported an awkward tall fellow whom she suspected of stealing hers. I personally couldn't be doing laundry here knowing such a person exists. Next, I checked out the pool, which was unfortunately closed due to acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. That's a good call. It appeared unsanitary, which is probably because there are a lot of kids in the area. Still, this is a high desert area, so having the option of a pool and hot tub isn't without merit. You can't put a price on water out here. But an even greater flex than that is installing sprinklers under the artificial turf that's everywhere. Graced by the waste. That brings me to the complex's layout itself. Its lack of uniformity is interesting if nothing else. You have what you would typically expect of a complex, hallways that lead to the front doors of the tenants. But none of the hallways is enclosed, and atypically other apartments are set up condominium style and townhome style with no hallways at all, and even multiple floors. Having no enclosed entrances does well to grant a sense of openness despite the apartments being so tightly packed together, and the imbalances between units makes the place inherently less dull. One has to wonder if there isn't something of a class divide between the hallway apartments and townhome style units. This arrangement, combined with the brick wall that separates the parking lot from the living area, grants simultaneous sentiments of openness and protection. Speaking of the parking lot, each apartment gets 2 covered carport spots. There are no private enclosures. You'd probably want one because you're not allowed to back into any of the spots. That usually indicates bad drivers, so I took a quick scan of the cars in these public spots. Yeah, there are some bad drivers here. Also, no shortage of vanity plates, like this guy, which is always a sign of low IQ. But I like this guy's Ford Focus. That was my first car. But last and not least, the apartments themselves. I specifically toured a 2-story townhome-style apartment because that's what I was looking to rent. Most of the units haven't been updated, and like anything from 1984 and before, they really show their age. There are no dishwashers, no microwaves, obviously no washing machines or dryers, and the few appliances they do have, like this style of stove, are now illegal in this communist state. The cabinetry appears to be made out of cardboard. The layout is terribly cramped. Can you imagine defecating in this shower? But it's the little things about an apartment that give it character. The mismatching doorknobs, the doors that don't fit, the dilapidated walls, and my favorite, the pest problem. The traps and droppings clearly indicated mice and roaches, and you know if one apartment has pests, they all do. Again, all the apartments have pests. And that sold me, because I got a cat that could really use some hunting, so I informed the owner that I intend to move in 2024. I really hope to make friends with all my new neighbors soon. Overall, I give Casa de Lancaster Apartments a perfect 5 stars out of 50.